Hiya there folks, welcome to Boating on a Budget with me, the Tight Yorkshireman, here in our Project Narrowboat, Leander Lady. I've got my brew in hand and I've got our water tank filling up because we ran out of water last night and that almost meant I couldn't have a brew. First job this morning though is to nip off to the timber yard, grab some timber, a few screws, bit of sealant, bit of adhesive, that kind of thing, and then I need to look at that back section. And as you well know, if you watched the last video, it didn't half confuse me. Having watched that back, I'm not really sure what happened there because I just couldn't get my head around it, and instead of just getting on with it, I kind of faffed around and just didn't do anything. So yeah, head on today, get the stuff, let's get cracking, let's get this boat built. And there we go, we've got the timber that we'll need at least for today, and we've got some insulation in there ready for cracking on. Well, I unloaded the van, got my head on, and as you'll see, I have made some progress. But you'll also see Dawn's here. And to be fair, you should actually be at work at the minute, shouldn't you, really?
I should.
But do you want to tell the people why?
My daughter's in hospital, she's got COVID and she's not very well.
Not very well at all, is she, to be
No.
fair, bless her. She's got also, as well as COVID, she's got, is it double pneumonia?
And blood clots
And
on
blood
both lungs.
clots. So, to be fair, over the last sort of 3 or 4 days, well, even probably getting on for a week now, obviously we've not really slept properly, and
No.
there's been phone calls in the middle of nights and things, so obviously it's all kind of caught up on you, hasn't it? So
Yeah.
in the end, you just said today you couldn't get into
I
work.
was having
could
a
you?
day off.
And you've had a good lie in, because we are now on, I don't know, it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I think.
I
And
don't think I got up well about 11, did I?
in fact, it might not even be quite that late. I can't quite see the clock at the minute, but anyway, you had a good lie in, and you've kind of caught up. And I mean, at the minute, obviously, summer's kind of all right, isn't she, your daughter? She's been well looked after. I think the most frustrating bit is because of COVID, you're not actually able to go and visit her in hospital, are you?
Yeah.
So she's kind of there on her own, and like we're here, and
Don't
it's
get
all
me wrong,
just-
she's really, really poorly, but
yeah.
it's not at critical stages yet.
Yeah, so it's all been a funny few days. I've got you doing a job, seeing as you're here.
I know.
And
Why do
that-
I get all good jobs?
And that's not even just making cuppers. Because to be fair, as you'll see, like I said, my plan was, right, just crack on, get some timbers in. So I've added these timbers in so that we can put boarding on there, same on this side. Start putting some insulation in, and Dawn's doing the fantastic job of putting the tape on over the joints, which is really good fun, isn't it? 'Cause it's like trying to open carrier bags, that, isn't it?
Oh, it's awful.
You know, you're trying to peel the backing paper off. The one we had before didn't have a backing paper on, did it? You just pulled it straight off the reel.
Yeah.
But this one, for some reason, it's got backing paper, and it's a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, and then what I'm going to do is, I've got a board down here that's just an old board. We're going to put that on first, because this is where the boiler's going to be mounted. So we obviously need to make sure this is really, I mean, not that we don't need all the boat sturdy, but we need to make sure there's a good sturdy anchor point to put the boiler onto. So I've got an old board there that's 18mm ply. We'll then face that up with some of the nice ply that we're using. But I think now in effect what I'm just going to try and do is just work his way around the various sections, get boards on, and basically worry about any bits and bobs later. Because I do actually think the other day I got a touch of sunstroke, you know. It had been really sunny a couple of days,
And you just couldn't
and I couldn't concentrate. And even a couple of people did comment on the video saying, did you have a bit of sunstroke? Because I just really, for about 3 hours, I kind of wandered around. And at that, I must say the footage that I showed, I'd actually got about 20 minutes of footage of me also just picking up bits of timber, going, right, I'm going to put the... No, I'm not going to. And so
Could have, you know.
I think I just got a bit of sunstroke. But anyway, I suppose we better crack on, aren't we?
Yeah.
And
Take your it.
I was just going to say whose turn is it for cuppers, and you got in there first. Well, today's progressing slow and steady, and the only highlight of the day so far is when Dawn managed to chuck virtually a full cup of tea all down her. I know we shouldn't laugh at that. Fortunately, it wasn't a hot cup of tea, and we need something to cheer the mood up at the minute. I do apologise as well, because obviously where we're working, it's very difficult to get the camera set up properly. because you've got the bright light shining in through behind me and then dark in the corners, and I'm not technical enough to sort cameras out to work all that out, so bear with us on this bit. Yeah, we've got the sort of the ceiling panel in, the back panel, and we've got this sacrificial board that, as I say, we'll have a nicer board going over the top. And already in my mind, I know I'm going to have to start looking at where the plywood board's going to come down along the old section of the boat has got to meet up with the new section, and they're at slightly different stages and things, so there's going to be a bit of a transition there, something I need to start getting my head round. The electrics, so such as the MPPT controller for the solar and the switch panel and things that's up here for all the lights, that's all going on this wall here. So we're going to have to do a certain amount of boxing off this, mainly to mount that. That mounts flush onto the wall, but this needs kind of a box. It sits back so you've got room for the wires, and then there'll be a form of conduit, which you might sort of think, well, if we built this switch panel actually into there and ran the wires down the back, that kind of hides it all, which it would do, but then it means it's more tricky in the future as and when we need to come to rewire things, because you've got to start taking the whole panels off, and it means then you've also got to have built them in such a way that this panel can come off without disturbing this panel and the floor and things. So overall, we've kind of got to one stage that we want to be here. I now need to replicate that there, and then hopefully we're at that point where we can then start saying, right, we can get a bit of a hatch and a door in. That's the idea anyway. Well, it's been a long and stressful day. Everything seems to have fought us as we've gone along. The only thing that does seem to be going properly to plan is looking at that tea that you're cooking. Looks absolutely delicious.
It's gonna be.
And I'm so glad that you've done a full-on like Sunday dinner when it seems like it's about 1,000 degrees.
It is 1,000 degrees in here.
This weather forecast that said we were going to have thunder and what have you and lightning and things yesterday and today has obviously just been completely wrong. It's ended up being 2 really nice days. But we've done what we wanted to do on the boat, haven't we? Like I say, it's kicked and screamed all the way. Nothing's really been easy or kind of gone to plan.
No.
But we've got the main bits of the boarding in. Still lots of trimming up to do, but at least we can put this to bed for now so I can concentrate on what you might call the more important matters. Although the more important matters right now are going to be eating that tea, and then I think I might have to squeeze a beer in.
I can squeeze a beer in.
Yeah. So tea time, beer time. We'll come back to you tomorrow and we'll crack back on with it.
Yep.
Morning then, Dawn.
Oh, morning, Peter.
Oh, nothing like catching your first thing, is there? Quick update on Summer from over the night.
She's had a comfortable night.
Yeah.
All meds, doing it. Breathing's a little bit bad, but she's in the right place still.
Yeah, in the right place. Still obviously very concerning, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you look like you've got some goodies there as well.
I did, I made cheesecake.
Made cheesecake. Taking that to your family, aren't you? So we'll drop you and the cheesecake off at your mum's, and then I'll come back and sort that hatch out.
Yep.
Sounds like a plan. Right then folks, I've got back from dropping Dawn off. I've got some wood, and I think we're going to reuse this hatch that we'd had on before. I think this might just be kind of a short to medium term solution. I've got in my head a nice thing that we can make out of some lovely wood at a later date. But for now, we just do need to get the boat watertight. So I think first job is get that hatch off and get this piece of wood glued on the inside of that, because we're going to have to make some kind of runner. And we are definitely going to be winging this bit. So let's just get the tools out, crack on and see what we can do. First job then, let's cut this board so we can glue it into this hatch. That fits nicely, so we'll now give it a little wash over, and then we can get some CT1 adhesive, get that board stuck in place. Because of all the spot welds and things, this is not going to sit perfectly flush. If this was going to be our permanent solution, I think I'd take a bit more time and get it bang on. But for now, so long as we get it on and held in place, that's all that matters. get a clamp and hold that in place, and then we'll set that aside to dry. At this point, disaster struck. As I was about to start making the hatch runners, I'd set the camera up so it could look across the roof of the boat. At which point there was a gust of wind that blew the tripod over, and the camera landed lens first onto the concrete. And yes, it smashed the lens. Not only does that now mean we've got to get the camera repaired, I also didn't have a reserve camera to hand, so I had to get the old camera out and get it charged up before I could continue filming. Hopefully then, with the backup camera working, fingers crossed, you can see what I've been doing here then. Basically I need to make a little framework to waterproof this area that will also act as the slider for the hatch. So obviously these are now going to get drilled and screwed in place with a bit of sealant around them, so that'll mean any water coming in from the back or at the sides is going to run off. Then once we've got the hatch sat in place, I'm then going to need to build some additional runners kind of back here, so that the back of the hatch slides over those as it opens. I think that makes sense, and I think that's going to work. There's one way to find out though. Well, when it's not going to plan, it definitely don't go to plan at all. I've just come to get this hatch top, and the board that I've stuck on, although it has stuck, it is moving a little bit. I think that's because of obviously all them welds and things, not all of the adhesives grabbing properly. So I've got a few nuts and bolts. I'm just going to stick them in as well, just as an insurance policy if you like. Make sure that board's held firmly in place before we try it on the roof. Well, at last something's kind of going to plan, because the hatch top fits in place and it does slide backwards and forwards with relative ease like we wanted it to. The next stage though is to put some runners across the back there on top of the boat, because at the minute obviously if we push it back it'll just drop down onto the roof. So just need to come up with something on there. I've got a bit of angle iron and some bits of wood I think I can cobble something together with. Then we can get a pair of doors on, which again I think they're just going to be short to medium term temporary solutions, mainly so that we can at least be cracking on inside and at least have a weatherproof boat. But I think having had a morning where I've managed to break a camera and not really seemingly achieve much, I think I now need a sandwich and a brew. Take stock and come back this afternoon and see if I can actually achieve something. This part of the project is definitely working on the KISS theory. KISS being keep it simple, stupid. Because all I've done is made a little frame with a bit of spare CLS. As soon as it comes back, drops onto them and allows it to slide nice and easily. I've not fastened that framework down. I don't think I'll need to. If we do find it's moving about too much, I can always put a couple of blobs of that CT1 or something there just to hold it. Like I say, this is certainly going to do us, and it's nice and watertight. There's no way the water can get in anywhere around there. Now just a case of looking at this front and getting something done for the doors. I'm going to have a rummage round in my various stocks of wood, see if I've got any spare bits of ply that are the right size. Not sure though, might be a trip to the wood yard. Let's make a brew and have a look. Finally then folks, it's time to make the doors. And is it just me or is this bit of the project just dragging on? So let's get it out of the way. But what I will say right now is, if you're a joiner or a carpenter, look away. Don't watch this. In fact, go and do something else. Go and make yourself a cuppa. Because I'm going to make these doors and it's not the way you make a door, to be honest. But like we've said, these are the short to medium term solution. I've got an idea for the longer term. I want to make up some metal frames with wood from that oak that we bought ages ago, that old oak that we need to rip up and plane up and everything. And they're going to look fantastic, but they're also going to take a lot of work, and we need to get this boat watertight and finished off on the inside, and then we can come back and have a good play at making something nice. So for now, I've got some CLS. I'm going to rip it down to the right sizes. I'm going to make a door that's kind of a top and a bottom rail, side and a side, and then sandwich that with some 5.5mm ply each side. It'll do the job perfect. It'll be nice and sturdy and secure. It's just a case of getting on with it. And boy do I want to get on with it. Get this bit done. Here's the kit of parts then for how not to make a door. 2 long pieces of CLS that are the height of the door. 2 short pieces that are the width minus the width of the 2 long pieces. And then 2 boards that are the right size, being the door. Simply a case of nailing it all together. Then a screw in each corner, just as an insurance policy. So as we then flip her over, we just drop the other board on top and nail that in place. And because we know we cut these boards square, we know that these corners are square. It's not like we're having to keep checking them with the set square and things. Quite a clever, simple way of making a square door. Bish bash bosh, door done. Couple of hinges on, let's screw it onto the boat. We've now got then an actual pair of doors on the back of our boat again. What a struggle that's been. Might need a bit of trimming up and an odd bolt and a latch and things like that on it, I think. But at least we've got them. Let's see what Dawn thinks when she comes back from her mum's though.